Today we're going to start the class a little bit differently. You remember in maybe third grade or fourth grade when you came in from recess and the teacher chewed you out for something that you were doing. You're going to get chewed out from your teacher right now, all of you, and it's going to take this is going to take a little time, and let me explain how you're going to get chewed out. So you got into this hobby, and for most of you I'd say it's a hobby. There's some of you that may be doing it professional, but I really, including me, I'd say it's a hobby. You got into this hobby because you got really good at doing something, probably something different, I'm guessing, for your career, something different in your life. Maybe you were something really technical. Maybe you were an engineer. Maybe you were, who knows what you were. And at some point in your life, you wanted to keep learning. You wanted to keep expanding. You wanted to keep growing. And so you decided to take up something that would challenge you and something that you may not have known a whole lot about. And mostly, I would say, for the opportunity to continue to learn, for the opportunity to continue to express, for the opportunity to continue to get good at something. Well, I think somewhere along the line, a lot of us have forgotten why we picked this up. And a lot of us have forgotten why we started it. And we get into this critical thinking as we're carving. And I just talked to one of our class members this morning before everybody got here. A through H, we talked to this morning for 5 minutes, and the comment he had was, "Hey Ryan, after the last class that we had where we learned to carve these gals, after that class, I was so frustrated I almost quit." And I bet you almost everybody can relate with that frustration and getting frustrated with yourself. I can remember probably about, I would say 6 years ago, I took a trip out to, their name's the Cheneys, and they live out towards, I can't remember, they live out towards Wichita, Kansas. I'm not sure where exactly and they have a museum in their home of wood carvings, and it's one of the most incredible museums you'll ever see. It's a basement, and you go into this basement, and it is chock full of like the most beautiful carvings you've ever seen. And I was down in that basement with Gene Zesch carvings, and there was Harold Enlow carvings all over. There was Dave Dunham carvings all over. There was Emil Janelle carvings, Fred Codgelo. There was carvings by these incredible carvers. And as I went through that museum, instead of going through it with the attitude of possibility and the attitude of being excited about these carvings and the attitude of growth and the attitude of me wanting to be a change for the better, my heart sunk and it dropped, and I was broken. I can still remember sitting in the middle of that basement, looking at all these carvings and all these carvers I was with. I was with a lot of the members of the CCA. We all went there together. And so I was with all of these carvings and all of these carvers, and I felt so small. And I felt like I didn't know anything about anything. I was frustrated with what I knew. I was comparing myself to everybody else, and it was a dead end. I went home and I really didn't carve much for quite a while, because everything I tried to carve, I tried to make it perfect. Everything I tried to carve, I tried to make it as good as that carving that I saw there. And I'd compare myself. And pretty soon there were two carvers. There was a carver that was cutting the wood, and then there was the one behind me saying, "You're not good enough. You're not good enough. That's a bad cut. You're not as good as these other carvers." And it ate me up for quite a while, and it locked me up for quite a while. It took me about 6 months to get my freedom and expressiveness back. And and as I bet you I'm hitting a chord with a lot of you in that as you see other wood carvers work and you compare yourself, you get frustrated. And here's the deal. There's always going to be somebody better than you. I don't care who is listening. Every single one of you out there that is listening to me right now, there's somebody better than you. If they're not better that's living, there's been somebody better in the past. Guaranteed. somebody better than you. There's always going to be somebody better than you. That's first thing. The next thing is you've got to get comfortable with who you are and comfortable with where you are. And that is a big reason that I'm encouraging this Facebook gallery. This is an opportunity for you to get comfortable with who you are. As you've carved this, put it out there for us to see. It's a controlled group. The whole world's not going to see it. You're in there with a bunch of other people that are learning. Put it out there. And there's something called efficacy as an artist. Efficacy is when you get the confidence in your ability to do something. And that confidence in the ability to do something comes from sharing and then getting feedback, and then you change. And then you share, you get feedback, and you change. That's why we have recitals for students. That's why I have concerts for my choirs. That's why we have art shows. We have art shows for this reason. An art show is not so you can walk home with an armload of ribbons. An art show is so that you can share, you can get some feedback from other people, and then you can change positively. So that's something that I wanted to share. And I'm not done yet. I'm not done chewing you all out yet. The next thing I want to share, this book has kind of changed my life. It's by a conductor. His name is Benjamin Zander, a world famous conductor, very famous for his philosophies. And he talks about your calculating self. The calculating self is that part of you that in third grade needed to get the teacher's attention. And you needed to be better than the guy that sat to your left and the girl that sat to your right to get that attention. And it was that squeaky wheel that if they were getting the attention of the teacher, they were getting the attention of the audience or the people, that it diminished you because you scrapped for attention. You had a scarcity mentality. There's not enough basswood to go around. This carver is having an incredible amount of success, and so that somehow diminishes my success. Well, Benjamin Zander refers to that as your calculating self. And your calculating self is that part that's going to make you unhappy as a wood carver. Your calculating self is that thing that when you get on Facebook and you look at these wood carvers, that you think, oh man, he's better than I am. Yeah, he is. So what? You didn't get into this to become the best wood carver. That's not why you got into this hobby. You got into this hobby so that you could learn and you could grow and you could change. So let this hobby change you. Let this hobby help you to find satisfaction in your life. Stop comparing yourself to other people. Stop thinking you have to become a world-class wood carver because you don't. Enjoy it for what it is. Some of you have a lot of years that you can carve still. Some of you may not have a whole lot of time that you can carve. So let's say you have 20 years left in your life that you can carve. Fill those 20 years with joy. Get rid of those negative thoughts and get rid of pushing yourself and start filling your mind with inspiration. Fill your mind with possibility. Fill your mind with the positivity of how great you are going to be or become or learn to get to be. And, the words that you say about yourself have a lot to do with how you're going to come along, have a lot to do with your growth. Don't ever catch yourself saying negative things about your wood carving, really. And as I talk to wood carvers, they'll show me these beautiful carvings. They'll say, well, I don't really know what I'm doing. And are you kidding me? That's really, really great. So don't talk about yourself negatively. That's one thing. And don't ever be ashamed to show your work. That's part of you. As an artist, I talk to my choir students all the time about becoming a giving artist. There's a lot of these artists on Facebook that are giving artists. They truly are posting because they want to share their work, and I love it. I see people that are posting because they just want to share what they're doing. Most of the time, they're not showing off. Most of the time, they're sharing and they're giving. But you've got to remember, when they're showing you their best stuff. If I put something on Facebook, I'm putting my best stuff. I'm not putting the failures and the successes. You don't get to see my failures and successes, and there's a lot of them, and we all have them. And so don't compare your worst with their best. Don't compare, first of all, but don't compare your worst with their best. When you make a mistake, Benjamin Zander talks about raising your hand and saying, how fascinating. I talked with one of our class members this morning, and he showed me one of these female figures that we did, and he showed me how he got too thin in the neck right here. That probably sounds familiar to a lot of you. When you get too thin in the neck, you just learn something. You're probably not going to let that happen again. So when you make a mistake like that, how fascinating and how wonderful it is that you're able to be in a hobby where you can still make mistakes.